Okay, well, I don't see anyone else coming in, so we're going to go ahead and get started with today's webinar. Okay, so we're assuming that you already have the Genie downloaded and that you already have your export ready from your MLS. And after you click Launch in the Total Store, it's going to bring up the Genie. The first page you're going to see is going to look like this. Now, a few important things you need to know right off the bat. You will see the Genie remote support button right here. If you ever get stuck on the Genie or something's not working right, you can click that button and it will give you the number to tech support. And we'll just have to give you one little 5-digit number and we'll be able to remote in and give you some assistance on that. Get you working again. It's kind of like our little backdoor remote in program. Another important one is this one right here, called Ask Appraiser Questions, and it gives you an email address, appraiser@appraisergenie.com. That's for if you have anything involving the adjustments, like where did this number come from, how did you figure allocation, where's the formula for the regression analysis, things like that that us tech support people wouldn't know. You can actually ask an appraiser that either uses the software daily or helped invent it. You know, been appraisers 20-something years, they can pretty much answer all those questions for you. As we start, you'll notice that your subject address got pulled in from your total report. You just want to double check all that to make sure everything came in correctly. Right here, you'll see it wants you to select which form you're using. There's a little drop down to the right there. When you click on it, it'll be like 1004 UAD, 1004 non-UAD, your 2055, your 1073. You just click on which one you're filling out today. Below that, it wants the effective date of the report. Just go ahead and enter that in. Okay, if you get down here, this next section here, you'll see this read before clicking start new report. That kind of helps explain the process I'm going to explain to you right now. When you import a file from your MLS into the Genie, it records every single one of the comps in that list, and it puts them all in what we call the neighborhood search page. Say you imported 100, it'll put all 100 in there. Then it's going to take those and narrow them down based on this criteria, kind of like you would in your comp search. And let's say stories plus or minus 1. If a comp is not within one story of your subject, say your subject's one story, so it can be 0 to 2 stories. If it's a 3-story comp, it won't let you pick it as one of your actual comps. It'll sort it out. And whatever doesn't get sorted out by this page ends up on the comp search page. Now we do 2 different sets of data. The trend data, like your market data for your neighborhood, comes off of everything you import. Your comp search page helps determine, the GLA adjustment, stories adjustment, all that kind of data. That's when we have 2 separate searches in the Genie. One for your whole neighborhood and one for only comparable comps. And this right here is the data we use to define that second search. So you can change those to whatever you want to, but if you get, too few results or you missed a house you're looking on, just bump these numbers up a little bit, make it a little bit wider of a search, and you'll be okay. Going on down a little bit. This right here is for the land comp sale method. If you don't have land comps, you can completely ignore this whole section. If you do have land comps, you would need to enter in this information manually. The address, selling price, site size. If you'll click on this neutral for location, it'll say neutral, beneficial, or adverse. Same with pasture, minerals, improvements, so on. And you just fill that out manually for that property. Below that, you'll see what's called the square foot method. You only need to fill this out if you want to use Marshall and Swift. If you want to use our built-in buildingcost.net, you can completely ignore this whole section. If you want to use Marshall and Swift, You plug in all your information through the Marshall and Swift website, and you fill in all the green sections here with the numbers they give you, and it will overwrite the buildingcost.net numbers. Below that, you'll see this nice big thick black bar here says defaults. After initial setup, defaults will only need to be changed if appraising a different type of property. What's saying is anything from here down, let's say you settle this up the way you like it with the highest best use, minimum square foot to adjust, all that. The next time you run it, it's going to look just like what you changed it to. So if you change that to 6%, every time you run it, it's going to be 6% until you change it again. Some of the fields we can edit here, anything in green we can change. So you can either choose yes or no in the drop down here to include the cost approach in your report. Concessions, it just wants the average percentage of the concession for your area. Anything above that we will adjust on. So if your average is 1%, put 1. If it's 0, put 0, and we'll adjust every dollar for a concession. That's, up for you to put in. Site size variance. Okay, now this one is for how sometimes in a cookie cutter neighborhood or, a subdivision, they'll have one lot on the corner that's bigger than all the others because the streets are shaped out weird. So let's say it has an extra, 100, 200 square foot on the site size. This says we won't adjust for anything that's within 30% of the subject site size. You can change that number to anything you want to. We just, went for an average was about 30%, so that's how we left it. Previous sales years prior to search. This is for your trends page, market trends. Right now it's set to look back 3 years to try to find all the data. You can change that number to anything between 1 and 5. Below that, we have our reconciliation. Now, if you'll notice, you have 3 spaces here, but only one's filled in, and it's at a 10. All 3 of these numbers combined have to equal a total of 10. So if you wanted part of it on the cost approach, part of it on the sales comparison approach, you can weight them like 5 and 5, 3 and 7, however you want to do it, but they just have to equal 10 for your reconciliation. And that's up to you how you want to put them in. Below that, you'll see the highest and best use, minimum square foot to adjust, right above that. Set at 50 square foot. That's the same as the site size variance, but it's giving a flat square footage, not to adjust on the GLA. It's saying any difference below 50 won't be adjusted for. Everything above we will adjust. Now we get to the highest and best use. Wants you to put in the current use, be it residential, multifamily, commercial, industrial. That's a little drop down there. You just pick whichever one it's currently used as. Below that for possible uses are the possible zonings for that property. They can be residential, multifamily. There's 4 more drop boxes here. You can change them, commercial, industrial, whatever. If it's only residential, you can select this drop down and click on the blank space that's at the very top, and it will only use residential, possible, and current. Below that, you see we have the National Association of Home Builders Single Family Cost Breakdown. This number only comes out once a year, and we'll update it as soon as it comes out. You don't even have to look or worry about it. We just wanted you to be able to see it if you wanted to. When you have all this information set like you want it, and everything looks okay, right here there'll be a button called Start New Report. Now it's not on my picture here because for some reason when we exported everything to PDF, some of the buttons didn't go with it. But it would be right here and it'll be labeled Start New Report, as you see above. As soon as you click it, you will have this screen pop up. This is just wanting you to go find wherever you saved that export from your MLS, wherever it's saved at, and wants you to go find it and click on it. Click Open. Now keep in mind, you see this comma separated file right here? Sometimes it may export your MLS as a text file. If that happens and you don't see your file anywhere where it should be, click this drop down and just change it to text. There's a to text, a comma separated, and a pipe delimited. Just keep going through them till you see your file appear. Then click on it and click open. As soon as you do that, it will take you to the comp search page. Now I did have to kind of cut this off because there will be about 30 different columns here, and that was just too big to fit on the screen and be able to read it. So I kind of shortened it for everybody. First important button you need to know about this is the narrow comp search button. Now, say you have to do your comp search, you go through and everything looks okay, but you have an outlier. Let's say this property right here that's checked green. Let's say the list price was $500,000, way above the normal for the neighborhood, right? So you would check it to highlight it with this little box right here. It'll highlight the whole row. Then you would click narrow comp search, and it would completely take it out of this page and out of all the math used to configure our adjustments. We don't want it in there because it would screw them all up, so we can just take it completely out. Once you go through and you've narrowed down any really strange or high numbers, any outliers, you just go through and using the same set of checkboxes, click on which ones you want to put in your total report. You can have between 3 and 15. We must have at least 3 sold comps. After that, you can put in actives or pendings to your heart's desire, but we have to have at least 3 solds. If you notice, we have a little counter right here. Every time you mark a box, it adds 1. So you know how many you've picked so far. You can kind of keep track of yourself a little easier that way instead of trying to count them all. Once you have your comps selected, you just click the next button. Usually what pops up next will be this. Actually, most of the time I will say. This is saying that the Genie found a discrepancy between the MLS data and the public data. It's going to tell you the property and what field it was. So on this property, for site size, MLS said it was 1,072 square feet and public record said 1,071. So all you have to do is either use MLS value or use public value. Whichever one you trust for that particular field, you're going to click it and it's going to enter that information in for that property. Like say use public. Now when we go and look at it, this address for a site size will say 1071. It's going to do a pop-up like this for every discrepancy it finds. So you may have 2 or 3 per property. Site size, bedroom count, GLA. It all just depends on how accurate your realtor is putting information into the MLS. Okay, when we get all those figured out and sorted out like the Genie wants, it's going to take you to our side-by-side page. Now if you notice, this looks an extremely lot like the side-by-side on the total. That's because we want it to be easy to use. First thing to notice is these little check boxes up here at the top. You see they'll say add comp to report. Those are automatically checked, and it's going to automatically put all the comps you have into your total report. Let's say you just didn't like the adjustments on one, or it just wasn't really comparable to the others after looking at it a few times and you didn't want it in your report. You can just uncheck it and it won't be included. Simple as that. One button to change your mind. Going on through how this actually works though, you'll see right here the red and green background. If you see any in here that are red, like this one, that's just saying the Genie found public records for it and looked it up. And if you didn't have to do the MLS or public thing on the little pop-up, that's saying your MLS didn't find it, so it went to public records and got it and plugged it in for you anyway. Now we try to double verify everything, and that's just one of the ways we do it. Now sometimes you might see a green field. Like all this red right here will actually be neon green in the background. That's saying neither your MLS or your public data had a value for that field, and the Genie needs one to proceed. So we would have to find some way to go in and look up that data and enter it in before we could proceed any further. I know that may be a little bit of a hassle, but garbage in, garbage out. We have to have good data to be able to do any adjustments. Going on down through here, there's also the Genie database peer average reporting. Let me take a few seconds to explain about that. Every time you export something to your total report, it's going to save all the comps you did, all the information on them in our database. So the next time you run Genie, if you use the same comp, right here in this little white column, it will put all of this data right there in that white column. So you can see, what you used for site size last time, what did I use for GLA, what did I say the bathrooms were. So you can just help keep track of your own adjustments and know exactly what went where and how and why. It just makes it a little bit easier for you to manage your own, comps basically. On to the actual adjustments. Now you'll see here there's some with a little dash right here on the left for average, and a few matched pairs like that, and there are some values in pretty much almost every field. If there is a value there, that means we will make an adjustment for it for that type of method. So let's see, site size, we can either use allocation, extraction, or regression. And it's going to give us this much per acre, depending on what adjustment we use. Let's say we're supposed to, clicked on the drop down here and picked allocation. It will adjust $9,000 per acre, and it's going to divide that up by square feet, figure out the difference from the subject, and put that number right here. So you go in here to age. You can see we used regression for age, which is $26 a year. 10 years, 28 years, by $26 a year, 18-year difference equals $473. And that's exactly how it's going to appear in your report. And you just go through here, see which values you like or which ones you trust the most. Choose that method from the drop down, and it'll do all your calculations for you here on the right. When you get all the calculations made you want, there'll be a button up here that's next. All the buttons are always in the top left corner, just in case you're wondering. If you want to know how to go to the next page because you're done, it'll always be in the top left. And right here it'll be next, but like I said, some of our buttons didn't appear, so we're just going to go with it. The next screen you're going to see pop up after that is our report options. Okay, here's where we get into the fun stuff. You'll see right here there's a drop down for neighborhood search, and the other value is comp search data. And what that's saying is this is for your market, your high-low predominant, which is supposed to be for your whole neighborhood, and this is what numbers it's going to use. Some people didn't want to use their whole neighborhood because they didn't trust their MLS search. They wanted to use their comp search, which is what we narrowed down to for truly comparables. You can use that if you want to, but according to law, we're really supposed to use neighborhood search. But that's up to you. We left it up to the customer because that's what they wanted, so that's what they got. Below that, you'll see land value method to include in the report. You can pick between land sales, extraction, or allocation. Land sales is going to be that land comp sales on page 1 we didn't fill out. And the other two are, it tells you the price per acre, extraction or allocation. So I would go with whatever you used for your adjustments on this one. Allocation is usually going to be more accurate because, it's based on land anyway. But that choice is up to you. We let you pick which one you want to use. Over here on the left, you'll see a few of these graphs are filled out and some are blank. We have 12 choices for graphs. And they're all going to be sold dollars, sold number, sold listing ratio, and price change for year, quarter, and month. We have all 4 for each 3. So that's 12 graphs, but you only have 8 choices. That's as many as we could fit on one page. Year, I would caution you against using it if you didn't do a big MLS search. Like if you only searched back 1 year for data, your year graph is only going to have a dot because it spans a 3-year graph. So most of the time we go with quarter and month. Quarters, 4 quarters, so that's 1 year of data. Month is however many months back you went. So if you went back a year and 3 months, it'll give you 15 months of data. Right down here we have the adjustment support button. That one's you really want to have checked most of the time, because the Genie is going to look up whatever method you used. Like say you used allocation for site size, it's going to go find the actual calculations it did for that, cut that particular section and paste it into a PDF. Then it's going to look up extraction and see what you used extraction for. Do the same thing for it. It's going to go find all your calculations it made, put them in a PDF, and put them in your work file for you. So if somebody says, how'd you get that number? You can print out that 1 page and hand it to them. Now tell them every calculation the Genie made for that number. Very nice time saver. Somebody says, oh, how'd you do this? Oh, how'd you do that? You can just print out 1 piece of paper and hand it to them. That's how I did everything. Below that, you'll see some of the comments the Genie fills out. We try to look up the sale date, purchase price, and deed number for your subject and all your previous properties if we can find it through realist.com. If it does find them, it'll include all this. It'll look up the comp number, look up all these, and put them in there for you. Now you can change the comments here if you want to change the wording a little bit, but we ask that you not change what's inside of the parentheses, because we need it spelled and looking exactly like that to go find the right data. Okay, when you have everything on this page to your liking, there'll be a button right here that says Export Report. When you click that, you're going to get this pop up. Now this is where you actually pick how it goes into your total report. You're going to want to click Merge right here and make sure that you've got the right report open. You can click the little drop down here and make sure it's open and find the one you want if you have more than one open. And you have 2 main choices: keep data or replace the data in my open report. Now the difference is replace data is going to say, I don't care what's in the report, I'm going to replace it with whatever the Genie says. So if you made a change to something on your subject, or if you had like half a comp filled out, you decide you didn't like it, this will overwrite anything in any fields and put whatever's in the Genie in there. So if you had half a comp done and you did replace, it would erase it and put in only what's in the Genie. Now right above that, the keep data in my open report, it does the exact opposite. If it finds anything in a field, it will not put in any information. It'll only fill in blank spaces in your report. Like say if you had to manually do a comp because you couldn't find it on your MLS anymore, but you already had it printed out from when you did it before one time, you want to click this one because you don't want that comp overwritten. Usually it's replaced, but every once in a while people want to keep something in there. If you've already done a sketch, you want to make sure this button is checked, because the Genie can sometimes accidentally erase a sketch if that's not checked. We put that in for some future stuff we might decide to do. So just make sure that's checked, and you click Import, and it will go to your total file.
Yeah, the way we do that is just like you
normally do it. You first do have a sample here of a total report, part of 1 filled out by the Genie. As you can see, it fills out the comp, sale price, fills in our adjustments for us, all the data it could find from the MLS as far as age, room count, gross living area, Gives you your total gross adjusted cost, net adjustments. Fills out everything there for you. Okay, did we have any questions on anything? Any pages you wanted me to go back and look at, anything like that?
Okay, I see what you're saying.
Now it's a little bit to take in, so.
Right. Okay, well go ahead and get try it out, and if you have any problems, just give me a call back, okay, Jeffrey? All right, well, you have a good day, sir.
Okay, you're talking about right here on the total report? Okay, let's take a look at that back on the side-by-side page. I don't remember exactly what I put in this report. Okay, right here, if you notice, energy efficient. Our subject didn't have any fireplaces, and so we have none right here on the drop-down. So if you don't click to do an adjustment, it won't put anything on the total report for an adjustment there. You have to choose what method you want to use. If you notice for this one, none of these had a fireplace either of our comps. So it made no adjustment for fireplace since none of the comps had them and a subject didn't have them. It won't even give us the option. That makes sense to you? Okay. I know we do have some occasional problems with that because the Genie always wants to put fireplace in the energy efficient, and most people put it down here in the other category. So there is some back and forth with that. We haven't really found the best way to do it yet. We're still researching on that. So that's, that's one of those preference things of where you want it versus the only place we could find to put it. So there's always going to be a little something we have to work out manually. That's why y'all get the paycheck. Do we have any more questions on something like that? Ask all you want. We got plenty of time. We got 30 more minutes scheduled. None from you, Chris? Okay, well, that's about all I had to show y'all for today's webinar. If you have any more questions, feel free to give us a call. Email us, however you want to get in touch with us. I did forget to tell you that all of our information is actually right here on the first page. You can email us with this link right here. Link to our website's right above that. And we have a guide on how to use the Genie manual, a text form of what I basically just walked you through right here. We also have a video on our website and should be posting this webinar to the website in the next few days as well if you ever want to go over it again. Our support phone number is up there if you want to call and ask us any questions. And that pretty much concludes today's webinar. Hope y'all find it helpful and y'all have a good day. Thank you too.